How to get the first 10 customers for your business. Hey, everybody. My name is Marcella Dominguez. I'm a business lawyer, entrepreneur, helping you with your online and offline business needs. You want to get your first 10 customers because if you think about the first 100 or the first 200, it just gives you a headache. And so if you can manage 10, then you can manage another 10, another 20, another 30. But how do you get your first 10 customers? Number one, you're going to have to do a little bit of deep thinking and research. So put yourself in the position of a consumer. What is it that you sell and where is it that your consumer is hanging out? So in my situation, I am a trademark lawyer and I ask myself, okay, where are people hanging out? Where are people trying to look for a lawyer? Is it through word of mouth? Is it through Google? Is it through YouTube? Is it through an attorney referral network? Where is it that my customer is hanging out? And so that's where you have to begin too. What are you selling? Are you selling pastries? Okay, well, where do people look for pastries? Is it because they happen to pass by your shop? Is it because a friend told them that you have really amazing cupcakes? Where is it? You need to do a little bit of deep diving. What you can also do too is do a Google search for somebody who is selling products, services similar to those that you are trying to sell. How did you come across those? Maybe you can come across your potential customers in that same way. So am I saying that you should duplicate what they're doing? Probably, because it's working. So you want to figure out what strategies are working. You can only do that by doing some research and by doing some deep diving. Now, you have to be really realistic when you're putting yourself in the shoes of a potential consumer. You can't be thinking like a business owner in this phase. You have to be thinking like the consumer. How would people find me? How would I find somebody who sells these types of services or products that I want to sell? So again, if you are selling haircutting services, if you are selling clothing, how is it that people find clothing? So you really have to put yourself in the shoes of someone that is looking for what you have. Do Google searches, do research. And please don't be shy about using the internet. This is the part where you can spend as much time on the internet as you want, because you are putting yourself in the shoes of a consumer, your consumer. Number two, should you be offering free samples? Should you be offering free consultations? That might be a possibility and an avenue that you have to explore. If your competition is offering free consultations or gives free samples, then maybe you need to start doing the same. What if your competition doesn't offer free consultations? Should you offer free consultations? Well, maybe that's a way for you to get more people in the door, is to offer free consultations, and one of those consultations will turn into a paying customer. So it's all about finding out what it is that somebody's doing. How can you differentiate yourself? What are other ways that you can stand out from the crowd? Does your crowd make reels? Does your crowd make YouTube videos? Does your crowd like to hear brand stories? Where is it that you can tell the story about why you started your business? Will people listen? Standing out in a crowd might sound a lot more difficult than it actually is, but sometimes copying what works is also a great idea. So if you find that copying what works hasn't really worked for you, then you can make a complete 180 and do something that helps you stand out. That could sometimes mean going against the grain, but you're never going to know unless you actually try the strategy. And remember, it only takes one single strategy to take off. So if you find that Facebook ads is the key that works for you, then do Facebook ads. If it's YouTube videos, then do YouTube videos. If it's Reels, do Reels. If it's Pinterest, do Pinterest. If it's word of mouth, then make sure everybody knows about it. But this skill combined with number one will help you find the first 10 customers. So again, do a deep dive, find out what other people are doing, and decide if you need to copy what's working or go against the grain. Now, I am not saying that you need to copy somebody else in the sense that you might be copyright infringing, okay? Because if you want to know more about copyright infringing, then you need to watch that video right there, because that is not what I am saying here. I am saying employ the same strategy and then put your spin on it, which is completely different than copyright infringement. So I am in no way endorsing copyright infringement. Number three, perhaps you just need to cold call. Have you ever received a call on the telephone with somebody asking you whether you'll buy their service, buy their product? Have you received a knock on your door from somebody selling cookies, chocolate? Sometimes you just have to make the cold call, the cold pitch. Ask your friends, ask your family if they'd be willing to support you. Ask people that you know whether they'd be willing to buy a pre-sale of your product or of your service. Sometimes you just have to be willing to ask cold turkey. Now, if you're not willing to do this, then you're not necessarily willing to try everything and maybe take some of the risks that are involved in entrepreneurship. But I highly encourage you to ask people cold turkey. If you can't even ask your family or your friends or people that you know, then it might be more difficult for you to ask strangers because you can practice the ask. You can practice the art of the sale. You can pitch to them probably more than one time and they might get sick of you asking. But the reality is if they're your friend, they're going to stick around no matter how many times you ask them. So sometimes you just have to keep asking. You just have to keep calling. I mean, haven't you received a call from the same person in a matter of days and you kind of get sick of it until you just decide not to answer their call anymore? And I'm talking about cold callers, people you don't know. I'm not talking about friends and family. But that's my point, is sometimes you just have to be willing to put yourself out there until a perfect stranger may or may not answer you. But friends will continue to answer you, but maybe just tell you, okay, pump the brakes. What I'm trying to say is that as an entrepreneur, you have to be willing to be vulnerable. That is how the game is played. If you're starting a podcast, you need to ask people, hey, will you just take a listen? It's free. And even if it's free, sometimes people will still say no. If it's $1,000, people are still going to say no. If it's $20, people might still say no. If it's $1, people might still say no. But the point is that you keep practicing. You practice, and you keep refining your pitch and maybe the way that you're asking somebody to listen or to endorse you. So all of that takes practice. But if you're never willing to practice for the first time, then how will you ever know what works? So if this video was helpful and you want to learn more about entrepreneurship, or you would like some consulting, or you want to take one of my courses, make sure you scroll down into the description below. It is always free to send me an email, and I love talking to new business owners. I see myself in your shoes, in the shoes I was in many years ago. So it's really important for me to give back and to feel that excitement that you feel and to live vicariously through your efforts. So make sure you schedule a consultation down below, send me an email. It's always free to do so, and make sure to catch that video right there to learn more about marketing, entrepreneurship, and starting your business on the right foot. I hope to see you in that video.